back everyone, and it's time to go balls deep. Today we are talking about My Hero Academia chapter 320. And you know what I'm gonna say? This chapter was fire! Not only does everything come full circle for the entirety of Class 1A story arcs, but the amount of symbolism Horikoshi put into the chapter was marvelous. Mwah. This is going to be one of the best defining moments for the series that people will refer to in the future once it's adapted into the anime, I'm telling ya. As we explained last week, the story is highlighting the downfall of Deku's heroic stature through the parallels he has with every character he's helped in the seasons before. Let's be honest, in the community, everyone would criticize Deku's character regarding his morality and stagnant nature, where there was no core reason for his beliefs or development of his character past season 2, which looking back holistically was a pretty valid argument, since everyone seems to be really happy now and praising Deku for becoming mature and drastically developing under his circumstances. We have to admit, we like it that Deku unlocked the drip. However, with the great drip comes great responsibility. In chapter 320, Horikoshi keeps addressing this characteristic of Deku, where this recent arc points out his flaws and the naivety he had in the past. For example, when he realized and admitted to Lady Nagant that society is colored grey rather than black and white, something he used to believe himself, where his morality was never questioned or challenged. This recent arc perpetuates Deku's beliefs onto the characters he's inspired himself, but Deku is the one that needs convincing in his own ideals that inspired them. This is why they are able to point out his flaws so easily. Deku has so many burdens on his shoulders and has started to emulate the mentality that Bakugo possessed in season 1. For instance, the chapter 320 kicks off with Ida staring Deku down, commenting how he knows that Deku won't give up once his mind is set on achieving something. If you guys remember, Ida time and time again told Deku to not get involved during the Stain fight, as it did not involve them. But since Deku is a true hero, he stood by Ida and fought with him until the end, because Deku stated that a true hero prioritizes the people they have to save rather than going for something like revenge. Involving negative emotions and being selfish whilst being a true hero doesn't work, and this is what he taught Ida, and this is why he's showing that rhetoric that Deku is doing something wrong now. Now with Bakugo, he states how Deku now looks like a completely different person since he has access to the quirks from the past One for All users, gaining a lot of power in a short period of time, and he's not really that wrong. He's hit the nail on the head. We know this power is getting to Deku's head since he ditched All Might in chapter 317, stating that he doesn't need his help anymore and he only gets in the way, as Deku has already mimicked 100% One for All power and speed against Lady Nagant, so the confidence is gone to his head.
I don't want to play with you anymore.
Deku activates his smokescreen quirk so he can escape. This is where the battle between Deku and Class 1A begins. It proves to be not only a battle of physical strength, but under such circumstances, one of friendship and bonds. And as Dom famously puts it, it's all about family.
It's facts! It's facts! It's not facts, these facts are not facts.
Anyways, in a frantic effort to not lose sight of Deku, Bakugo uses a new technique named Blast Landmines. This creates enough of a shockwave to mitigate Deku's smokescreen, revealing his location to the rest of his classmates. Bakugo confronts Deku, asking why he didn't tell them anything before his sudden departure from UA, stating that, I guess once you start being able to do anything you want, everyone around you just starts to look like an extra, huh? Horikoshi develops Deku and Bakugo's rivalry using a parallel, because this mindset is exactly how he used to think, but thanks to Deku and their friends, he changed as a person and could act more like a true hero would. In fact, Bakugo used these exact words in season 1, where he said that other people are just extras to him, but now he's stating that to Deku, that's how he's treating them. Originally, Bakugo was the one who took the selfish path of seeking strength out alone, whilst brushing any help he got from Deku aside, as we see during their flashback in chapter 9 when he falls into the pond. On top of him stating he is better than everybody else, right? Fast forward to the current chapter and now the shoe is on the other foot. What Bakugo is trying to do here is hit Deku with some hard-hitting reverse psychology. I know it, you know it, everyone knows it. Deku is one of the most selfless people. After all, he is a true hero. And a true hero is someone with a pure heart, who is willing to risk everything to save everybody. This bout between Bakugo and Deku parallels their previous confrontations. During their original clash, when Bakugo felt weak for what happened to All Might, he brushed off Deku's help and instead fought him. But now the roles are reversed. Bakugo is trying to be there for him like Deku was before. This time round, it's not just one person reaching out and recognizing Deku's pain, but it's everyone. Bakugo understands Deku's nature, where he cannot see other people in pain. Within chapter 320, we see Deku remembering the possible deaths of Gran Torino, Aizawa, and Bakugo himself. He thinks that this only happened because he was too weak and didn't master One for All, right? So he is pushing himself beyond the limits he can bear, similar to what Bakugo did in the past when he blamed himself for All Might losing his strength. That's when suddenly a flock of birds surround Deku as this guy. One second, wait, let me just check my notes. Alright, his name is Koda. Who? My bad, I forgot his name. Koda relays the words from Principal Nezu and how they have asked Midoriya to return back to the school so that he can stop running away. Of course, however, Deku is having none of that.
I don't give a fuck, Keisha.
Deku using his black whip to Spider-Man himself away. Essentially what Deku is doing here is abandoning his past. After spending so much time holding a hand out for everybody around him, he's now not recognizing the help that's being offered for him. But this is not before Zero has anything to say about it. That's right, the whole class is getting involved now as he uses his tape to wrap around Black Whip and pull Deku back down to earth, which you could look at both physically and metaphorically speaking. Zero says how he's gonna have to be cautious now that Deku has let his Black Whip out. Wait, that sounds kind of wrong. What? Who scripted that? Okay, I got dirty, man, I'm sorry. But this triggers Deku to think back to the time he spent with Zero trying to master Black Whip in the first place. Without Zero's help, he wouldn't be able to be where he is, which goes back to the greater theme of all of them needing to unite together to defeat All for One, rather than Deku doing everything himself. We then jump to Jiro using her heartbeat wall trying to stop Deku with her sound ability. However, Deku is too fast and dodges the sound wall Jiro has created. My boy is too OP. As Deku is zooming past her, she tells Deku that during the cultural festival when Deku taught her how to organize her notes, it actually helped a lot. Deku thinks back to this moment where he thought Jiro was just going to make fun of his hobby of taking notes on pro heroes and just call it useless like everybody else. However, Jiro's interest in his hobby made him even more enthusiastic, and this is why it's so important that they should stick together as they can push each other beyond their limits. As Deku himself loves taking notes, learning how to counter heroes and villains, right? It's one of the many reasons he is above others since he can come up with strategies. Jumping past Jiro, Deku meets Ojiro who swings at him with his tornado tail dance. He reminds Deku of their time during the sports festival. He will never forget how Deku was selfless and got frustrated for him at Shinso. So Ojiro feels like he should reach out at Deku at this moment as he can't let his friend be fatigued and fight alone. Deku counters by saying that if he is around them, they will only be in danger with All for One's assassins on the lookout. That's when he blasts out because nothing can stop Deku. Realistically, if Deku wasn't fatigued and tired, everyone would be bodied within a second against him. No one can pull up to Deku right now, right? So that's when Deku's cornered and he encounters Tokiyami, who sends his Dark Shadow after him. He uses Dark Shadow's most powerful attack and finally catches Deku, pinning him to the side of a building. Whilst being pinned down, Sato screams at Deku to stop going rogue. If he doesn't stop, he won't give his food coloring to Deku so he can make candy apples for Eri. However, Deku doesn't even care. He flat out rejects even Eri, the little girl whom he cares so much for and is almost like an older brother to, an inspiration. She is someone who looks up to him and he knows knows that. That's the whole reason why she wants to be a hero. Yet here is Deku exclaiming that Eri doesn't need his candy apples from him. Someone else can do that shit to get it for her. I can't believe I'm talking about candy apples in it. But you guys get the point. It's about the metaphor, it's about the meaning. Anyway guys, I'm passing the video now on to Yusuf as he will cover the rest of the chapter and what exactly is going through Deku's mind.
Okay, so at this moment, a device comes up at the top of the building aimed right at Deku. Momo has created a machine which will put Deku to sleep if activated and end this madness once and for all. Momo says that they are going to team up with Deku and help him. However, at this point, after seeing the state he is in, they only care about securing his safety, that he's a danger to himself. Deku flails around going about how they should just stop caring about him. They should stop following him. Our boy just wants to be left alone. Kiminari then steps in and tells him that they can't do that because they are also heroes, and as heroes they can't allow themselves to not care for a friend. In a way, the students have the same justification as Deku for wanting to secure his safety. Deku wants to protect his friends by not being near them. Likewise, the classmates wants to protect Deku from himself by being near him. Shoji comes out grabbing onto Deku as Dark Shadow's hold isn't enough to pin him. Tokoyami finally activates Dark Shadow's full force in the dark by calling upon his ability, Ragnarok Womb, hoping to keep Deku down as Deku's strength is so much that not even Dark Shadow at maximum power in the dead of night under the shadow of a building can hold him down. Tokoyami then also adds his "Deku, you changed my life" moment, as Deku helped him learn the versatility of using his Dark Shadow's offensive capabilities as defense. Like with the other students, Tokoyami flashes back to a moment in time showcasing this impact Deku had. Throughout this confrontation by Class 1A, Deku is being reminded of who he really is, a true hero, changing the lives of the people around him, if not by actions, then by words. Even when Deku was powerless, he stepped in to save Bakugo. Now when the tables have turned, he isn't accepting help from others. Deku needs to realize that the help he had given Bakugo and the others when he was powerless and pretty much at risk, now they are just trying to do the same. This point is even highlighted by Shoji when he asks Deku if he only thinks they are people that he just needs to protect. This goes back to Bakugo's earlier statement that once Deku polished the incredible power he had, he stopped looking at his classmates as equals. Rather, the way Deku is behaving illustrates to everyone around him that they are weak, and being near him just increases his responsibilities and burden. His classmates are heroes just like him. They signed up knowing the risk, yet Deku is ignoring their resolve. He's doing this by taking on all of his burden alone. Defeating All For One is Deku's responsibility, as he possesses One For All, along with All For One's objective of taking it away from him, that is. However, All For One isn't just a Deku problem. He is a threat to everyone. In reality, this burden is not just Deku's to bear. Rather, everyone has a responsibility to stop him. Deku not working with his friends and the other pro heroes might come from his desire to protect everyone, but at the end of the day, if he doesn't depend on others, he will wither away, and then he will no longer have the power or strength to protect anyone. This is what his friends are trying to tell him. With just a glance, we can tell this is actually coming true. Deku is withering away. Kaminari even shouts that Deku needs a bath, and I completely agree. Deku looks like he's a stinky boy. Like man's probably smell like onions and shit. All that sweat stuck to his costume.
Yes, I can definitely smell shite.
Deku, hearing all of this, refuses to accept what everyone is telling him. He wants to continue being stinky and fight alone. He pleads by shouting out please as he breaks free from Tokoyami's Ragnarok, which actually surprises Tokoyami on how strong Deku became. To be real though, Deku looking so tired and fatigued, and to be taking on literally his whole class gives his point some, credibility. If they can't even put him down in the state he's in, then his friends will be fodder to All For One. In a way, they have to prove themselves to show that their resolve isn't just talk. They need to also show they can protect themselves during the fight against All For One and his army. Though, regardless of their strength, having mental support is still important. Even if his friends are weak, they might be able to assist Deku in other ways. As Deku frees himself, he thinks on how he understands that everyone is sincerely worried about him. However, they are being oblivious to the looming danger he brings. This again goes back to Deku feeling responsible support and his fear of what could happen to his loved ones if he doesn't separate himself from them. His fear is greater than his classmates' ability and resolve. In desperation, Deku shouts, "Get away from me! I swear I'm fine!" But this plea gets quickly shut down by none other than Todoroki. Using his heaven-piercing ice wall, he manages to subdue Deku. Noticing our boy Deku is in a broken, sad state, Todoroki tells him to finally let go and share his burden. This chapter ends with an amazing parallel of Frog Girl making her way to Deku, stating how she won't let Deku go alone. She gives a heroic inspirational speech which felt more like Horikoshi trying to send a message to the audience, telling us that it's okay to cry and break down. It's okay to lean on others for help. Being scared is not a bad thing. It's only when you're scared that you can be brave, to then be a hero like we see in the comics. Froppy is the representation of this message, as she was saved by Deku during the first USJ incident. Froppy broke down crying thinking she was about to die, but Deku risked his life to save her. This gave her courage to be brave and fight on as a hero. She feels as though Deku must be scared like she once was, and this time around it's her turn to be there. And with that, the chapter ends. But guys, in the next chapter we will most likely see Uraraka and Bakugo's point of view. Uraraka will tell Deku on how much he means to her, as she was one of the first person he saved. During the examination arc to get to UA, Deku sacrificed his admission by focusing on teamwork and not letting anyone get left behind. Unlike most of the participants, Deku stopped caring about the points and cared more about saving others, and this action is what got him into UA in the first place. But the most important person to snap Deku back into reality will be Bakugo. Out of everyone, Bakugo had the biggest impact by Deku. Not only that, Bakugo probably can really put things into perspective for Deku, as Bakugo at one point gave off the same impression Deku is giving right now. Even though their thought process was different, the effect is the same. They actually did a 180. Deku is working alone whilst Bakugo is working in a team. And let's not forget that Bakugo also felt guilt and responsibility for what happened to All Might. If there's anyone that's gonna help Deku, it has to be Bakugo. In the end of the day, Deku being defeated by Class 1A will understand the importance of working together and remember who he once was, the boy with a smile. Yes guys, I can't wait for Deku to snap back to reality, fix the dirty smelly costume he has. Like gosh damn bruh, your mama did not raise you this way man. The first thing our boy needs to do when he goes back to UA is take a bath. Anyway guys, let us know what you think, put it down in the comment section below. Make sure to ding that notification bell and subscribe to stay updated with our content. But with that guys, we'll catch you lot next time.